In the small, gritty industrial town of Reading, Pennsylvania, a steel tubing plant isn't just a place to work. It's the absolute heartbeat of the entire community. For a group of local factory workers, their lives really just revolve around two main things. First, there's the grueling, backbreaking work on the factory floor. And second, there's the neighborhood bar. This bar is their sanctuary. It's where they gather regularly to unwind after a long shift, celebrate their milestones, and honestly just survive the day-to-day grind together.
Friends at the local bar. At the very center of this tight-knit community, we have Tracey, Cynthia, and Jessie. These are three women who have worked side by side at the plant for years, sharing a deep, fiercely loyal friendship. And their families are completely intertwined, too. Their sons, Jason and Chris, are really close friends who work right there at the exact same plant. Pouring the drinks for all of them is Stan. He's a former factory worker himself who had to pivot to bartending after a severe injury on the job. And finally, there's Oscar. He's a young man of Colombian descent who works at the bar, usually just quietly observing from the margins, completely overlooked by the regular patrons.
A promotion divides the group.
Now, the delicate balance of this whole community gets completely thrown off when a really rare management position opens up at the plant. Cynthia, who is black, is offered the promotion, while Tracey, who is white, is passed over. And this creates a massive, deep crack in their long-standing friendship. Tracey grows deeply resentful. She feels like Cynthia's promotion might have been influenced by factors beyond just pure merit. And suddenly, the solid, unbreakable solidarity of the factory floor starts to fracture.
The factory lockout begins.
As the company's financial troubles worsen, things unravel incredibly fast for these workers. On day one, rumors start spreading like wildfire about major cost-cutting measures and the plant bringing in non-union labor. By month one, management officially proposes a new contract that would severely cut wages and benefits. It's just devastating. And by month two, when the workers refuse to accept these massive cuts, management straight up locks them out. They are entirely barred from returning to their livelihoods unless they cave and accept the diminished terms.
This puts Cynthia in an absolutely impossible trap. As a new low-level supervisor, she is caught entirely between a rock and a hard place. On one side, she has this deep, lifelong loyalty to her friends and her family out there on the picket line, but on the other side are her brand new obligations to management, and they fully expect her to cross that line and help enforce these wildly unpopular changes against her very own community.
Tensions over replacement workers.
As the lockout drags on and the company actually starts hiring temporary workers at much lower wages, the sheer financial desperation takes a severe psychological toll, especially on the younger generation. Chris desperately wants to attend college and build a life outside the factory, but now he feels completely trapped by the situation. Jason is a bit different. He's always been less certain of his path, but as the standoff continues, his reaction turns into pure, escalating anger. He is just deeply frustrated by the lack of work.
Meanwhile, Oscar, that quiet worker at the bar, makes a life-changing decision. Having been repeatedly excluded and frankly disrespected by the regular bar patrons for years, he sees a huge opportunity when he learns that the plant is hiring temporary replacement workers. Because he was never part of their union and honestly was never offered the same respect or opportunities by the regulars, he decides to cross the picket line. He applies for one of those lower-wage temporary positions.
Well, when Tracey and the other locked-out workers find out Oscar took a job inside the plant, they view it as a profound, unforgivable betrayal. Tracey, in particular, reacts with intense hostility. She directs inflammatory remarks at Oscar that reveal a really deep-seated prejudice against his ethnicity. This drastically heightens the tension, which is already fueled by the growing desperation of unemployed workers who have zero income and see absolutely no end in sight to their suffering.
A tragic and violent climax. Weeks of simmering tension and unemployment finally reach a boiling point one night right outside the safety of their familiar bar. Jason and Chris, just completely fueled by anger, confront Oscar as he leaves his shift at the plant. And what starts as a tense confrontation rapidly devolves into a brutal physical altercation. The boys just unleash all their pent-up rage directly on Oscar.
Stan, the bartender who has always tried to watch over this group, attempts to intervene. He steps out into the utter chaos, bravely throwing himself right between the young men to try and break up the fight and stop the violence.
But the consequences of this chaos are absolutely devastating. During the brutal brawl, Oscar is badly beaten, and tragically, as Stan steps in, he is struck violently in the head. That single blow leaves Stan with a severe, permanently disabling injury. In an instant, this violence shatters multiple lives forever.
The legal fallout is immediate and severe.
Jason and Chris are both arrested for their roles in the assault and sent straight to prison. Their youth, their ambitions, their entire futures are completely upended by this single, terrible night of rage. The factory lockout didn't just cost them their jobs, it literally cost them their freedom.
The aftermath years later. Jump forward years later, and Jason and Chris have served their time. They're finally released from prison, stepping back into a world that has been irrevocably changed. Jason has changed profoundly, both physically and emotionally, having spent his years inside associating with white supremacist groups. Chris, on the other hand, went a completely different route. He found religious faith and managed to reconnect with his father, Brucie. When Jason and Chris finally have a chance reunion outside that exact same local bar, it is tense. It's uneasy. It's heavily marked by silence and all this unresolved anger.
And the human cost extends right back to the older generation too. Tracey and Cynthia, who were once the closest of friends, remain permanently estranged. The horrific events of the lockout and that violent aftermath fractured their bond entirely beyond repair. Both women are left isolated. They've lost their jobs, their sense of security, and that crucial, lifelong connection they once shared with one another.
As for Stan, he actually continues to run the bar, but he now bears the visible, permanent physical effects of the severe head injury he sustained that night. He stands there as a quiet, living reminder of the incredible cost paid by literally everyone in this town. The factory jobs that sustained their families for generations have disappeared for good, leaving nothing but scars behind.